I just made a new flip keyblade for this GM remote using a B119 chipless key by cutting the head off and milling it to fit. And I did it all using the Triton Plus and the S8 jaw. So let's go ahead and dive into a little bit. Let's have some fun and let's see how useful you think it is. Now let's pretend that when we were cutting the flip key, maybe we decoded it wrong, put in the wrong code, or our machine messed up, and we don't have any extra keyblades, which we try to avoid at all costs, right? So in this scenario, we're kind of in a bad spot. We need to get a job done. We have the remote and all the fun stuff with it, but we messed up on the keyblade and we need to put a new one in. And alls we have is a B119 JMA chipless key, also known as a OP11. So let's dive in, let's have some fun, and at the end, let's talk about how we feel about it. How about that? Let's go. All right, so we're gonna dive into step one here, and we're gonna be going over 4 different steps. The first step is gonna be to identify the keyblade that you need and to get it to where you can work with it with the Triton. All right, so as you can see, it goes in like that. And well, we need to make one out of this B99 chipless or OP11, however you like to describe it. Now, if I line these up right here next to each other, you can see that the keyblade is a little longer, so I can't just cut it off the head. I'm gonna have to cut into this plastic some, which is no big deal. I'm just gonna eyeball it and make sure I give myself enough space here. So let me tighten this down, and it's a great excuse to use a Dremel tool, one of my all-time favorites here. And let's go ahead and cut the head off. All right, so got that head off. Now we know that's gonna be really hot. Let me see if I can move this around a little bit here. Let's go ahead and get that off. All right. Okay, let's compare and see. Now it's gonna be a little hot, so I'm just gonna hold up this for a minute. So if we look at the keyblades now, we hold it up like this. You can see that we just need just a little bit taken off up here will be good. So let's go ahead and do that. A little toasty. Let's go ahead though and put the existing and the new next to each other. Let's take a look. Okay, so we can see that the one we're making is still a little bit longer. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to set this aside for a minute, put these down, grab my Sharpie, and just make a quick line here. So sometimes you guess and get it right off the bat, and well, guess what? Sometimes you do not. So let's put them there, hold it down. I'll take that off right there. All right, let's see how we did. Look at that, that's gosh darn perfect if you ask me. All right. So we're doing step 1, on to step number 2. Step 2 is gonna be measuring some sort of an existing key. Let's go ahead and hop on the Triton here, put in the info we need to, and get the key cut. So what we'll do here is create blade. Now we're just gonna create the key head. You literally can create, the key horizontally and vertically if you have like a blocka or a different key that you could use. I'm guessing we could whittle one of these down from a Honda key, H001. But let's go ahead to create a key head. It's gonna come with just this pre-filled info. All right, now I'm gonna be using a digital micrometer here, and I want it set to millimeters. Now something that's important to realize, and let me just see if I can get this here quickly for you. If we're looking at these numbers here, right, you'll see a 590 there. Is what that really means is 5.9 millimeters. So this would be 5.91 millimeters. So I'm gonna grab the existing key. Right now, remember, we're pretending maybe we miscut this and we don't have any extras, and well, we need to get a job done. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna look at the head width. So I'm gonna go here. One last note I do wanna point out to you though, it's always better to Don't go too small because you don't want it wobbly inside of the remote, right? So you want it a real stiff kind of fit, okay? So let's go ahead and put it on there. Okay, so let's just keep it at 590, 588, that's fine. 590 is fine. Head length. So that's gonna be as the picture describes there. So let's go ahead and look at that. So I'm gonna go ahead and say 726 here. So switch that, 726. I think that's good, 726, all right. Next is the head thickness. So we'll get right in here. I'd like to make sure it's zeroed out. So 185, 187, 189. Let's keep it at 190 here. Groove position. Now this is important here because so we're going to be putting it in and cutting down, right, for this little key blade part. The problem is that the groove position, it's talking about where the roll pin goes, is actually on the opposite side. See that there? So we don't want to actually do anything there. So we just want to do the groove position 300. It's fine, totally fine. Groove thickness, we just want the head thickness, so let's just do 190. Okay, now if you're doing a different key blade that had where the roll pin goes on the same side you're cutting, well then that's when these come into play, but in this case we don't, so we don't want to do it. And one other point of view on the groove thickness here, right, we're using a 2mm cutter, and if you look at that groove thickness here, it's, let's call it you'd want to use a 1.5 is what I would want to do, use a 1.5mm. Or even smaller if possible. Yeah, so anyways, all right, so we got all of this info in. Let's go ahead and get the key put in, but we have one last thing that we have to mess with here. Step 3 is a very important step, which can be really easy to, well, not do, which is align properly in the Triton by adding 1.5mm, or on the machine it's gonna be 150. Triton, if you're listening, this is something that would be awesome to get fixed, all right? And that is, when you put it into the jaw, you need to mark and align so there's an additional 1.5mm sticking up, and it'll make more sense here. I'll take a good photo and put it on here. So is what we've determined is the head length is 726, right? Let's just verify. I'm gonna verify a little differently here so I can see it a little better. Okay, so what we want to do is we have to add 150 to it. So 726 plus 150 is 876. Okay, so we're gonna go to 876. 875 will work. We're gonna get rid of this one. I'm just gonna do it right here so you can see it. Okay, so from the very back, 74, that'll work. So we just want to put a line right here. All right. So now let's go ahead and get it put in the machine. I'll do a nice close-up picture for you to see it there. Okay, so we got that put in. And let's go ahead and hit cut. I'll see you in a minute. All right, so it's done. Let me go ahead and take it out here. You can see how it cut it. Looks pretty good. And step 4, which is, well, maybe the most fun or the most nerve-wracking, which is seeing if it works. Of course, the big question is, will it fit? Now remember, we would prefer a tighter fit than not. So let's see. Let me get it right here. Okay, yeah, it's a pretty decent fit, actually. There we have it. All right, so let's see if it closes. It does, so we're good there. Last thing we gotta do though is go ahead and put a roll pin in, right, or the roll pin groove. Now, this is the deal. In this situation, we have an existing one. I would honestly rather just make a mark on here, which is what I'm gonna do, and make my own roll pin, okay? The main reason being is because this is I have a 2mm cutter in here. Even if I go lower, I would rather, I think I can get a better fit, honestly, with freehand with just a marker, right? Or I don't know, maybe it's the geek in me that likes to do that, but I prefer not to use it if the groove is going to be less than what the cutter is. It's just better to not do it. All right, so let's go ahead. I'll put the camera back over on the workstation and let's put a groove in, and I guess it's another opportunity for me to play with the Dremel tool. So we'll see in a second. All right, so here is the blade we just made. Here is the one that I took out of the key here. Something I'm going to try after looking at it. So let's go ahead and put this in here and take a look. You can see there's just it's a really good fit. Just a little bit of blade needs to come off. So something I actually want to try here, okay, let's just do it live together, is just putting this down here and see if I can't get some sort of reading on that. Let's see. Oh, there we go. We got our reading. So that's what I'm going to do here, is just put a little line. All right. Of course, let's just use the Dremel one more time and let's get it done. All right, I like it. Let's put it in here and check it out. See if we're cooking with olive oil. All right, I actually like it. Let's give it a shot. Now, I would rather, of course, the roll pin be harder to get in than easier, right? Because, well, we don't want it wiggling around here. So I'm going to take my tool. Let's go ahead and put the pusher pin in. All right, and there we have it. Take a look at that. Nice, good, solid in there, and we are good to go. Now, at this point, of course, we could go ahead and just cut the key and move on. All right, so there you have it. That is how you use the Triton Plus S8 jaw to create a new flip blade from a B119 chipless key. Now let's talk about the time, all right? I tried to keep track of time while I was doing this, and it was, I don't know, 15-20 minute process. A lot of that just due to the fact that it takes quite a while for it to cut the key. So maybe a little soon, maybe a little quicker, maybe not. Sometimes it's hard when I'm making sure I'm filming everything to know if I'm taking a bunch of extra time or not really. But so hopefully that helps. As far as overall usability, as I was talking about, like the one thing that got me when I was trying to understand this a while ago was, how do you know where to put the key? You know, it's kind of weird how they do that by adding that 150 or 1.5 millimeters. So if there's one takeaway from all of this and you end up having to use that S8 jaw because you're in a pickle, well, remember 1.5 or 150 because that's gonna get you to the finish line. As you know, I like to use the Dremel tool. Used it quite a bit on this. Had fun doing it, but now if I had a customer sitting here, well, I would definitely be kind of getting my butt into gear and getting it done. But yeah, so all in all, I think it's okay. I think it needs some improvements, but I tell you what, if you're in a situation where you don't have many options, it can be helpful. But most importantly, I would like to know what you think in the comments below. Well, because I'm curious. It's interesting, it's different, it's innovative, but it's also kind of a little bit of time consuming and a little bit of a pain. So you tell me. I look forward to reading your comments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. You know the one that you look at and you're like, what in the world is this thing for? So let's go ahead and dive into a little bit. Let's have some fun, and let's see how useful you think it is. Well, there you have it. That is how you use the S8 jaw to create. Congrats, you've made it to the end. Now, I want to make sure that when you are commenting on our videos that you include the hashtag Lockboss. When you do, you automatically get entered in to win one of 5 free prizes we give away every Tuesday live here on YouTube. So I look forward to reading your comment and responding soon. Until next time.